Thanks for joining me for another cup. How we use our expectations to grow. So, I want to talk a little more about expectations, how we use them in a positive way, sometimes in a negative way. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. There's got to be a balance. If we place too high expectations on ourselves, then while that's admirable, if you don't know how you're going to get there, or you are operating in survival mode, or you're unable to connect with those expectations on a regular basis, which we all get busy, we all lose track of things. It's a very normal thing to have happen. Then high expectations, depending on whether you're more or less an optimist or a pessimist or a realist, then a lot of the time you're setting yourself up for emotional failure. High expectations coupled with hard work should yield good things, but not always. If you continually fall short of expectations, it has an emotional toll. It can become very difficult to be motivated or optimistic or look forward to good things happening when you continually fall short. That's why setting the bar is so important. Now, if you set the bar in the right place, where it's beyond where you can currently get, but you know with some work and time and effort and focus you can get there, that's perfect. So it's important that when you set expectations, you do this intelligently. Think through the execution, not just the planning. Don't be theoretical when you set your goals. Be active. Be experimental and think through the activity, not just the planning. This is where thinking deeply about your own expectations can either be a launching pad, and in some ways, I think having high expectations is admirable, but having low expectations also can be a double-edged sword. Again, there has to be a balance. Low expectations means, I don't know if I have to work that hard, but also it can mean immediate success. So you have to measure yourself, know yourself. A certain level of self-awareness allows you to utilize expectations in the best way possible. And let me give you a personal example for me. When I'm taking on a complex project or something that I know is not just going to be done today, then setting a low expectation is really good for me because I need some early wins. For example, when I was teaching and training in martial arts, one of the things we did with kids was we put them on a practice chart. And that would go on the fridge or in their book bag or somewhere. And all it required was about 5 minutes effort sometime during the day to work on the things that were important in their training, whether it was flexibility, whether it was activity, whether it was breathing, whether it was meditation. And I'll tell you this, even me, I like seeing those gold stars because I did my 5 minutes today. And what happened was, as you stack those wins, the expectation in your own mind automatically goes up. Because if I can do 7 days of 5 minutes a day on something, then I think I could go longer. Or let me go another week, or let me go another week. And this is where in the original message, when I talked about people overestimate what they can do in a short term, but underestimate the long term, it's for that very reason. Because if expectations are low to start and you achieve something, you gain positive thoughts, positive emotions, positive momentum that you can then take, and you automatically will raise your expectations. Where if we said, okay, we need an hour every day this week to get you started, how are you going to feel when you don't make it the first or second day? Oh, don't get me wrong. Maybe the first day you'd have a lot of willpower and a lot of energy and you'd get going with it. But you can see where those high expectations might lead to a feeling of lack or inadequacy or just negativity. So what I want to help you to understand is that there has to be a balance in working with our motivations, our emotions, and certainly what propels us forward. So expectations need to be very well thought out and very well implemented. And typically, success breeds success. So set your expectations with that in mind. Understand that when you achieve or meet a certain expectation, you're ready to take on the next one. And then the next one once you do that one. And there is a stepwise process to this. It's the compounding interest of motivation based on expectations. So what I implore you to do is think about where in your life your high expectations are limiting you and where you could maybe lower the bar to get some good feelings and get some success moving. And that way you can continue growing, because in my opinion, when I put high expectations on myself, it's usually not me doing it. It's from somewhere else who has a different situation, a different conditions. And realistically, it's because you think you have to do it all now. And the truth is, time is on your side if you continually meet expectations and win. So think about where you should place those expectations to line yourself up for success, rather than keep thinking you can never meet it. Now, low expectations are also their own curse. If you keep them too low for too long, then they don't mean anything. Then the accomplishment doesn't mean anything. You have to be challenged. You have to get outside your comfort zone. If being in your comfort zone and doing what you've always done gets you what you want, great. But for the most part, we want to grow. That growth mindset sets us up for higher expectations in the future, but we need to meet them now to get started. So if you're having trouble, if you're a little bit stuck or you're not feeling motivated, lower your expectations. Going to the gym, getting in shape. You've heard this before. Just get to the gym. Don't worry about putting on a 45-minute or an hour workout. Just lace up your shoes, put on your shorts, and get into the gym. There's the start. You can do that. That's going to be easier tomorrow. So expectations have to be engineered well. And in fact, am I asking you to have lower expectations of yourself? Yes and no. Because sometimes that's what we need. Because they'll grow from there. Thanks for joining me in discussing another cup, how we use expectations to grow.